Community Manager at Talent Culture World of Work, otherwise known as Tchat on Twitter, and also Tchat Radio that we do every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Twitter chat, Tchat, is on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And today I am joined by Dawn Rasmussen, and we are so excited to have you, Dawn, as our guest this week, both on the radio show and on the Twitter chat on Wednesday. Because you are the author of a new book called Forget Job Security, Build Your Marketability. And the topic that we're discussing is the romance in the workplace is over. The times of having long-term job security and working for years, if not decades, are well behind us now, and it brings a whole new challenge to what's going on. So tell us a little bit about you, what you have going on, and then maybe we can get into just a little bit of the topic that we're going to be discussing this week.
Oh, sure. Thanks, Tim, and thanks for having me, everybody. Well, I have to say that I work with a lot of people as a resume writer and a career management coach, and I think that's kind of what sparked me to write this book. But I've just found that so many people were kind of asleep at the wheel, that they committed a lot of time and effort to their employers, and then when the economy somewhat collapsed, they ended up finding out that really there was not a lot of loyalty, and what they thought was security really evaporated. And so it was sort of a sense of betrayal. I can't tell you how many clients I've worked with that just were going through shock and grieving, and they felt like their whole livelihoods had been ripped away from them, which they had. But I think one of the most important things we all have to understand is no matter how much we feel an affinity for a corporate culture, it is a business decision that we're there. And we made a choice to be there, and the employer made a choice to hire us. And we can never overlook that fact. And now with how the economy is reshaped, how companies are hiring and retaining talent, it's making a difference on how people should perceive their longevity at a company. You're only there until your next best job offer, and a lot of companies are only retaining people as long as they're valuable to the company. And so that's really what the book talks about, and it ties in with our topic this week for sure.
So if you could give us maybe one point from both an employer standpoint and also from an employee standpoint of how to best look at these situations when you know for the most part that employment's not going to be the rest of your life, that you're going to have to be working either as a contractor on a temporary basis. What are is one important thing for the employee to remember and one important thing for the employer to remember?
Well, it's a two-sided, two-edged sword here, and so I think for most people that are on the talent side, the job seeker or the employee side, you really can't ever stop looking for a job. I think that's going to be the most important thing. That a lot of people make the mistake, they get a job and they immediately stop their networking. They stop thinking about what kinds of things they should be measuring on the job. They stop thinking about what kinds of skill sets they need to be adding. They just get so focused on the grindstone that they forget to keep adding to their career traction. So I guess it's kind of looking at a brand new perspective that you have to build your marketability on the job. So it might be justifying your current position to get extended longer. It could be justifying your work to have your contract extended, or it could be maybe quantifying your work in a way that makes you attractive as a potential candidate to another company. So it's a constant process. It's like the constant job search. And I don't mean in an aggressive sense, but you can't just drop everything once you land your next job. It can't just stop there. And from the employer standpoint, I think what they're learning, and I think a lot of it has to do with the change in the economy and also the demographics of the Gen Y millennials coming through the workforce, is that they are tapping into employees in a way that is helping them refresh the blood, so to speak, inside a company. So by looking at how can you keep fresh ideas coming in the company, that is actually a positive. And I know some of the companies are trying to cut costs now to come up with contracts and things like that. It might be until the economy settles in a little bit that they're test driving employees before they make them full time. But it's an opportunity for them to see how those employees might contribute to the company.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's so interesting to hear the positive side of from a company, because I think so many things we initially go to are kind of the the downside of this. So there are so many positives that I think can be taken out of this from both the employer and the company side. So, and I know we're going to be covering so much more when we get into this on Tuesday on Tchat Radio at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Dawn, and also on Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Twitter using pound Tchat for Tchat, Talent Culture. That's the world of work. That's where you'll find us, and you can always find us online at talentculture.com. Dawn, thank you so much for spending a couple minutes with me today, and we certainly look forward to hearing you on Tuesday and seeing you on Twitter on Wednesday.
Thanks, Tim.